Hi, this is Ted Kelly with another Ted's Hospitality Minute. Hey, today we've got an awesome guest on. Her name is Karinda L. Washington. She is the Executive Director of Social Impact and Campaigns at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. As some of you may know, January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and we've asked Karinda to come on and share some info on what DHS is doing to combat the issue and what we can all do to be more aware of the signs of human trafficking in the hospitality space. Hi, Karinda. How are you?
Hi, Ted. I'm great. How about yourself?
I am doing well. Thanks so much for giving us a few minutes of your time. I know you guys are busy over there at the DHS, but before we kind of dive into the human trafficking issue, tell us a little bit about you and your background and how you ended up over at the Department of Homeland Security.
Thanks so much, Ted, for the opportunity to share. To make a really long story short, I was a graduate student at Wayne State University, and my professor said, with your years of experience and background, I think you should look for a job in the federal government and go to Washington, D.C. And I'm thinking, why would I leave Detroit? My family and friends are here. My life is here. And I took the challenge. I went on USA Jobs and found a position. This is now almost 13 years ago, but found a position that said External Affairs Specialist in our private sector office at DHS headquarters. And I read that assignment description and thought, oh my goodness, this is so me, but there is no way I'll get this job. Well, I got that job. And 12 years later, I am still here at the department. And now I oversee our new Office of Social Impact, which is our intentional approach to ensure that all DHS resources are made available to underserved and underrepresented communities. And with that, I have the privilege and the honor of leading the best team in America, the young ladies, all women cast here, that is leading the Blue campaign, which is our human trafficking awareness campaign that brings us here today, and as well as our If You See Something, Say Something campaign. And so I am just so honored to be with you here today during National Human Trafficking Prevention Month to talk about some of the resources we have available.
Oh man, that is awesome. Well, kudos to you and your team. I know you guys are doing a great job over there. Um, but
Thank
tell
you.
me, as we talk about human trafficking, why don't you give our audience a sense for the magnitude or the size of the problem with human trafficking and how prevalent it is?
Yes. And so, again, we're here in Human Trafficking Prevention Month. And one clarification of just the definition of human trafficking is the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of commercial labor or sex act. And we know that this prevalence in our society globally is happening. But here in the US, it's estimated that it's a $150 billion industry.
Oh,
Also, that we have millions of individuals who are victims of sex and or labor trafficking right now today in the United States of America. And so sometimes we want to say, or that's not my problem, that's another country's problem. But right here in our front and backyards, we know that we are dealing with instances of human trafficking and often say that it's hidden in plain sight. We want to make sure we're raising awareness so that individuals can see and act accordingly.
wow. Now, how does DHS's role play in that? How do you guys, I guess, put together your resources to try to combat that issue and obviously get your arms around it and try to improve on the numbers somehow?
Yes. So oftentimes people say, well, what is DHS? So let's just start there, right? As the third largest federal agency in the federal government, and as the largest law enforcement agency, many individuals recognize us by our components brand. And what I will say is, individuals have heard of FEMA. That's a part of Homeland Security, and they've heard of Secret Service and think it's cool with the agents with the earpieces in the ear and protecting the president. But we
Right.
also have our Homeland Security Investigations Division, which is within our Immigration and Customs Enforcement Division, which really is on the front lines. Those special agents who have been trained to combat this heinous crime, who are doing the investigations that actually lead to a prosecution, that can lead to a conviction, but also making sure that that victim is taken care of. And we're utilizing a victim-centered, a trauma-informed approach in how we combat human trafficking. Just last month, President Biden signed legislation to codify our new Center for Countering Human Trafficking. And this is going to be an all hands on deck across the department. 45 full-time employees dedicated to this work with a $14 million budget. And so it's just the start of something even more grand, but we're thankful for the work that we do here at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in coordination and in partnership with our interagency partners, to name a couple: DOJ, FBI, and Department of Transportation, and CBP, which is one of our own. We know that we can't do this work alone. And so it is through efforts like this on the federal side that makes this work so promising and so rewarding, because we're seeing the effects and the impact of our work.
So tell us this. So we know that January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. What
Yes.
are some of the special outreach programs that DHS is doing during the month to try to raise the awareness level of folks that may just be, not even aware of the signs of human trafficking? It may be right in front of them.
Yes, so as you mentioned, January is a National Human Trafficking Prevention Month / Awareness Month. Every January 11th, we have branded it Wear Blue Day. And so I am hopeful that many of your listeners probably even heard one of our ads on Spotify and or other streaming platforms and saw our ads on social media. But it's really a day for us to say, let's pause. Let's pause and wear blue, which is the internationally recognized color to raise awareness for human trafficking and how to combat it. And so our anti-human trafficking efforts and our awareness efforts culminate on January 11th throughout the month of January. But make no mistake, 365 days of the year, 24/7. There is a team dedicated to raising awareness, to educating the public, and to ensuring that we have public-private partnerships and all partnerships together to combat this crime.
Yeah. Wow. That is awesome. That is so awesome. So when we talk about the hospitality sector, right, and we're talking about hotels, how are hotels used in the human trafficking process? I get the sense that they're a key part of how folks move people around and kind of keep it under wraps. But can you talk a little bit about how the hotels are a key piece of their process or their model for human trafficking?
Yes, unfortunately, Ted, we know through our data and through the testimony of our survivors and our lived experience consultants and experts that human trafficking is happening within the hospitality industry, whether that be on the commercial sex side or labor trafficking. We know that it's happening. But we're thankful for our partnerships because, again, we could not do this work alone. So ALA, the American Hotel and Lodging Association, trained 800,000 hotel employees on
Wow.
how to recognize the indicators, on how to ensure that the supply chain, the vendors and suppliers, and the next generation of hospitality workers, right? Those who are currently right now in undergrad, who are inspiring to join this profession, that they too know that they have a role to play and that they can help us combat human trafficking. So we proudly partnered officially with ALA just last year, and we are looking forward to doing more in this sector because we know that the more people know, the
Yep.
more we're able to respond and we're able to prevent. And that is the goal. I was just in, the Blue Campaign manager and I were just in Houston for Mayor Turner's press conference in regards to how the city of Houston and the airport system in Houston are combating human trafficking. And we checked into our hotel, and you would have thought that we were like kids in a candy store. Why? Because of the excitement that we saw at that hotel check-in counter. Just to the left on the wall was the human trafficking hotline saying, "Are
Wow.
you okay? Do you need help?" And in that moment, we said, we're in the right place at the right time because this property owner, this branded hotel has stepped up to say that they could do something, and they're doing their part.
That is awesome. Can you talk a little bit about what are some of the basic signs to pick up on when someone may be in a situation where it's a trafficking situation there?
Yes. So we have worked with we call them, people commonly use the term survivor network. But we have transitioned to a term of lived experience experts and consultants to really empower those survivors to say, you're more than your story, but we're going to utilize your experience to inform how we do our training. And so our scenario-based training, specifically for the hospitality industry, we've trained that front desk worker to know, is that person looking malnourished? Are they able to hold their own travel documents? Is someone speaking on their behalf, but that individual may look anxious or depressed or submissive or tense? Bruises and other physical signs to their persons or to their bodies. And so we want to make sure that when individuals may be checking in, even at the check-in process, there could be individuals presenting themselves in that process who are actually victims and not in a safe place, and their trafficker is ensuring that they not be able to speak on their behalf. And so we have different indicators that we have provided in our hospitality toolkit, and we will be able to make sure that that is available to your listeners. But those are ways that we're saying this sign independent. Just because somebody has a bruise on their arm doesn't mean that they've been trafficked. But combined with multiple indicators combined, and just that gut feeling that something just seems off here, we want to make sure people feel empowered to reach out and to provide a tip or to call for help.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. And I think you mentioned that you guys had partnered with the American Hotel and Lodging Association, which I think is phenomenal. And I think you mentioned the number. How many folks you said you guys had trained now in the hospitality sector?
So
Well,
I won't take the shine from CEO Chip Rogers, who stated that ALA has trained over 800,000 hospitality employees and the
wow,
network within the supply chain, which is just amazing.
that is awesome. So you're basically approaching a million folks probably in the next year or so that have been trained on how to be aware and look for signs of human trafficking. That is totally awesome. And lastly, Karinda, are there any programs you would like to highlight or emphasize where viewers can get help, or is there a hotline number where folks can call should they see something that looks suspicious, like a human trafficking situation?
Yes, Ted. The first thing we say is do not attempt to confront a suspected trafficker or alert a victim to your suspicions on your own. If you see someone is in an imminent threat, please call 911 or other local authorities. But we do have two national hotline numbers. One is through the Polaris National Human Trafficking Hotline, and that number is 888-373-7888. That number is not only to report the suspicions, but even if there is a victim that wants to receive help from a nonprofit organization or other NGO, they're able to do so through that number. And then we have the Homeland Security Investigations number to call in a tip. That hotline is run by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and that number is 866-347-2423. We also have resources for training and education on our website at dhs.gov/blue campaign and all social media platforms at DHS Blue Campaign.
Awesome. Well, Karinda, I want to thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time and highlighting such a serious issue that's been impacting not only the U.S. but all over the country, the world, and shedding some light on what we can do as individuals and what the hospitality industry is doing, and how to get help should someone see something that doesn't look right. We thank you for your time, and we thank you for sharing the helpful information.
Thank you so much, Ted. Thank you for the opportunity.
This has been another Ted's Hospitality Minute. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. We will see you guys next time. Have a great day.